If you like me.
Time for the escape. Occupant.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Gee Whiz the Magician, and I'm here today with my little friend, Snowflake, the Magic Bunny. And we are going to do some magic for you, aren't we, Snowflake? Snowflake loves to do magic. So let's get started. Go get your magic wand, Snowflake. There she goes. She's got it. And I've got my beautiful flower. At the count of 3, Snowflake, I want you to wave the magic wand and watch the magic happen. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And the blossom has disappeared. But that's just the start, because the hard part is to make it grow back. Can you do that? Can you do that, Snowflake? Okay, let's try. Here we go. Abracadabra, poof! And ladies and gentlemen, the flower has grown back to its original blossom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good job, Snowflake. All right, but that was just the teaser. Because today, for our main event, we are going to attempt the most difficult, the most daring, the scariest, the most exciting escape of all time. It's called Escape from the Bag of Terror. And we will be performing it for the first time today, right, Snowflake? Okay, and we're so excited. Now, Snowflake is going to escape from the bag of terror, right, Snowflake? Snowflake, what are you doing? Snowflake, come on, Snowflake, why are you... Stop fooling around. Come on. What? No. I can't escape from the bag of terror. I'm too big. I can't fit inside. It's got to be you. All right. You know what? Stop all that. We're going to get started. I'm going to start by binding Snowflake's paws with this little elastic hairband so she can't move her paws. And then I've got this rope here that I will wrap around her body so she can't escape that way. She'd have to be Houdini to get out of that. And now it is time for Snowflake to jump into the bag of terror. Come on, Snowflake, at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go! Go! I guess I'm going to have to give her some help. Here you go, Snowflake. And she's in the bag of terror. But don't fear, because I have the magic wand now, which I will wave over the bag. And Snowflake, at the count of 3, will escape. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on, Snowflake. You can do it. She's just fooling around. Snowflake. Building the suspense, I guess. Snowflake. Are you okay? Can you breathe? I guess we should have practiced more. I'm sorry, folks. I guess I'm going to have to help her get out. Snowflake, here, come here. Oh, Snowflake. Ow! Snowflake, stop that. What are you doing? Snowflake, stop. Where are you going? Stop. Ow! Snowflake, stop. That hurts. Snowflake, stop it. I guess that's it for our show today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next time with lots more magic for you. But in the meantime, have a magical day. And remember, Gee Whiz and Snowflake, keep smiling. Bye.
Hi, my name is James J. Cox, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about escape in the era of quarantine. It is 2035. We have experienced countless strains of the virus. I have been in this room since 2020. I used to venture out, but the goddamn millennials, they refused to wear masks. But we boomers fixed them, though. Oh, yes, we did. We stayed alive. Yes. The ultimate revenge. I've gotten a bit testy, though. Well, Christ, you would too if you shared a room with your cat and a stuffed moose. There are positive trade-offs, though. Claudius, my cat, is now giving me haircuts, and my wife stays in her room knitting turtleneck sweaters for turtles. There has been no sports for years. Let me repeat that. No sports for years. No football, baseball, nothing. Not even naked curling, which had a very promising start back in 2025, but went bankrupt after the body hair restrictions were dropped and it was opened up to all weight divisions. All of this grates on one. Luckily, I have kept my sanity, although I do have what some in the medical community might call slips from time to time. A friend sneezed during a recent FaceTime call, and I ordered a drone strike on his house. How does one escape? Does one escape? Of course one does. After years of study, I have figured out the ultimate way out. a way to forget about quarantine without anyone knowing you have, in fact. Would you like to know my secret? Are you watching? Are you listening? Competitive duck herding. Magic. The idea is that you get a few ducks and or geese, and then you have your dog, or in my case, cat, herd these ducks from point A to point B. Now, normally this is meant to be done in the outdoors. The outdoors! It's also supposed to be done with ducks. But alas, there are no ducks here, at least not to the uninitiated, yes. So what to do? Lysol. Yes, that well-known coronavirus killer from 2020. I spray Lysol on Claudius. He inhales it and becomes a veritable feline Timothy Leary. He begins herding scores of ducks and every imaginable and unimaginable creature one could want. Not to be let out of the fun, I inject myself with the Lysol, and on holidays like Cinco de Mayo or 4th of July, I'll add a little Mr. Clean. Yes. Wait, Claudius, yes. Here come the ducks. Here they come. Herd 'em, Claudius. Quack, 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 quack.
This is Cabana Fever by Bruce Liberty. As a COVID-19 shelter-in-place senior citizen detainee, I had decided to strengthen my memory by the investigation of various highlights of my past, thereby pushing the current virus crisis from my consciousness. I shall begin by remembering that the very day I saw my first naked lady was the same day my father Sidney, who was a bookie under the auspices of the noted and notorious mobster Meyer Lansky, taught me how to count from 1 to 100 with a fat wad of $100 bills. That's 10 grand. I was 8 years old at the time, 1949, so inflation puts it at 108,452 smackers. Dad's bookie joint was a prime triple poolside cabana at the Raleigh Hotel in Miami Beach. Location, location, location. Lansky, of course, the boss, the big cheese. I remember my father whipping off $100 bills between his thumb and forefinger, voicing out loud, 100, 200, 300. He pushes bills into my hand and steps back to observe me. I try to master what he has just shown me. I'm whipping and counting out loud. It's a slightly disordered stack, but not bad for a first attempt by an 8-year-old kid. Dad says, "Good job, Brucey." Another voice, "Counting, buddy boy." Uncle Myers come out from a closed-off rear portion of the cabana. "Brucey's a good boy, Sidney. Counting." Counting was big to Uncle Meyer. The closed-off cabana in the back always seemed to have counting going on, numbers shouted or written on a chalkboard, currency being stacked by denominations, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. Loud or quiet back there, it was intense. The bang, bang, bang smacks of chalk on the board, betting odds being posted, bets placed, horse races called over a very loud loudspeaker. Raucous gamblers with urgent voices urging on horses, bursts of cheers from winning bettors, groans from losers. Intense. There was a window. Winnings counted out, handed over to winners. The losers sat despondent, woeful, then would once again walk to the counting window and place another bet. Somehow I knew I didn't want to bet, win or lose. Never, never, never. Counting was not for me. Your Brucey's a smart boy, Sidney. Well, Uncle Meyer, I'm in third, Uncle Meyer. We learned counting in first. Now, my brother Stevie's much better counter than me, much better at counting. He's a counter. He likes it a lot. He's a seventh grader, my big brother. He's in seventh. He knows a lot, Uncle Meyer. Stevie told me about the naked ladies on the roof. What he told you? The oily ladies with no clothes that lay down on the roof. The solar ladies. Aha, the solarium. Sidney, this boy is not a counter. Dad gives me a kiss on the cheek and asks if I wanted a Raleigh burger. Sure. Uncle Meyer says, make it the big cheeseburger, and gently gives me a $5 bill. Can I, Dad? Sure, Brucey boy. It's your Uncle Meyer. Can I see the solar ladies? Sure. Just don't tell your mother. Escape is mine.
So there I was, trapped in some room. It was dark, it was cold, I had no light source. My phone had been taken away from me. I was locked in and I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I couldn't see anything, I couldn't hear anything. All I could do was feel. So I reached my hands above me and I felt the ceiling. I reached my hands out in front of me and I felt a wall. I slowly moved my hands up and down and I came across a doorknob. I was definitely locked in. I continued to feel along until I came to a corner and a wall on my right, and another corner and a wall on my left. At this point, the only dimension I didn't know was behind me. You know that feeling you get when something's behind you? You can kind of just sense it. Like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Yeah. So I spun around and I backed up. So now my back was against the locked door and I had no idea what was in front of me. I mean, I still couldn't see a thing. And I was trying to listen, but all I could hear was ringing. You know that sound when there is no sound? Yeah, so I reached my hands out in front of me and I slowly inched forward. And then I felt it. Clothing. But I realized it wasn't on anyone. It was clothing on a rack, like in a closet. Hey, I was trapped in a closet. Okay. Well, that gave me a brief moment of relief. I mean, only brief. I mean, it was still pitch black and I still had no idea what I was supposed to do. So I just took a deep breath and I reached through the clothes and I found the back wall. Okay, now I knew the size of the room I was trapped in. And it wasn't very big. And I started to panic. I mean, this was not good for my claustrophobia. But it was good for throwing caution to the wind. I just started reaching everywhere and there was nothing on the ceiling and nothing behind the clothes and nothing. There was a latch. On the right wall, below the clothing, I found a latch. You know, one of those old like Foot Locker padlock type latches where it comes over and the padlock goes through. Yeah, well, luckily, or probably on purpose, there was no padlock. So I flipped the latch and I pulled. It opened. It was a 2x2 foot door that essentially led to a crawl space. Well, the door behind me was locked. It wasn't. So I got down on my hands and knees and I started to crawl. And I got about 15 feet forward when, wham, the door behind me slammed shut, the latch clicked, and the padlock locked. At this point, I completely freaked out. My claustrophobia spiked and I just started crawling forward until I finally ran out of real estate and I hit a dead end. Now, I was about to hyperventilate when I thought I heard something on the other side, so I froze and I listened. And then I heard her voice. She said, "Hello? Hello, is anyone there?" It was my wife on the other side of the wall.
I was like, honey! And I banged on the wall. In here! In here! Next thing I know, the wall opened up. I scrambled out and I quickly assessed the room. There were no doors or windows. I immediately asked my wife if she had found a way out yet. She said no. And I said, well, how much time do we have left? She checked her watch and she said, 55 minutes. Wow. It had only been 5 minutes. And it had already, by far, been the best escape room we had been to.
So I sit up in bed, I turn on the TV, I watch The Late Show, I watch The Late Late Show, I get out of bed, check Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, go back to bed, pray, visualize, reach for a bottle of Ativan. Change my mind when I remember my doctor told me it could become habit forming, so I begin to count sheep. I count sheep counting sheep. I count shepherds counting their sheep. After countless sleepless nights counting sheep, I decided to see my doctor. He suggested I go visit a sleep disorder clinic. I wasn't excited about it, but I made an appointment and I checked myself in at 10:30 p.m. I was shown to my room, a 5x9 stark white prison cell type space, a single mattress covered in plastic, one sheet, no window. I changed into my sleep attire and suddenly there was an aggressive knock on the door. An amped up technician who was like the male version of Nurse Ratched flung open the door and glued 6 rubber patches with colorful wires hanging from them to my scalp. The glue had an intense odor and it would have been a windfall for anyone trying to get high. And maybe that's what was up with the technician. For me, the smell just made me more nervous and anxious than I already was. A clothespin type gadget was placed on my right index finger. A black nylon belt was snugly fastened around my stomach and chest area, which made it very difficult for me to breathe. A U-shaped piece of flimsy plastic was inserted into my nostrils, and the 6 wires sticking out of my head were hooked up to a socket located on the wall next to the bed. I was ready for a blast off. Now, if my claustrophobia wasn't bad enough with the size of the room and no window, all the gadgets strapped to me were making it worse. And I thought, how the heck was I ever going to fall asleep? I mean, I couldn't fall asleep in my own comfy bed. But for some strange reason, and maybe it was the glue, I dozed off. And I slept for about 20 minutes until I was awoken by a loud, thunderous sound. It sounded like a loud train engine. I thought to myself, why would a sleep disorder clinic choose a location near train tracks? Well, once the train passed, it was quiet again. But just as I was trying to get settled, another loud engine sound. Not another train, I thought. And then it went away. But then it came back. It sounded like the train was going back and forth on the track. There was no window, so I couldn't look outside to see what was up. I put my ear on the outside wall and realized the sound wasn't coming from the outside wall, but rather from the inside wall of the adjoining room at the head of my bed, right behind my head. It wasn't a train. It was some guy snoring so loudly it sounded like a train engine. I never heard that kind of sound coming out of a human being before. I feared that on his next snore, the wall behind my head would come crashing down on me. It was obvious his problems were a lot worse than mine. I tried not to focus on the snoring and told myself to just ignore it, but I couldn't. I was getting sucked into the rhythm of it. It would build and get louder and louder, reaching max volume, and then a long silence as he went into sleep apnea land. And then a loud, thunderous, roaring exhale that lasted for about 30 seconds. All I could think was, please suffocate on your next breath so I can fall asleep for my sleep disorder test. I reached for the emergency beeper on the nightstand and beeped the technician. The door flew open. A ray of light from the hallway lit up my face. Excuse me, sir. Can you hear that? He pretended not to hear it. Oh, you mean, oh yes, yeah, why? It's bad. I can't sleep. I understand. That's why you're here. Yes, but that's not helping. Listen, honey, I have a lot of business to attend to. What can I do for you? Well, can you please move me to another room? I'm sorry, there are no other rooms available. Besides, no matter where I put you, you'll have one of those patients next to you. All our male patients are here for the same reason. Sleep apnea, snoring, you know, those kinds of sleep disorders. That's not a sleep disorder, I blurted out. That's a sleep catastrophe. I know, ma'am, and that's why he's here. And with that, he turned around and sauntered out of the room, leaving behind the stench of his bad attitude, and he slammed the door. I was trapped in there. I had to get out. My anxiety level was peaking. My breathing was getting shallower. But how was I going to get out with all that stuff glued and strapped on me and get past Nurse Ratched? Meanwhile, the train kept coming and coming and coming, and my heart kept racing and racing. I had to get out. I couldn't take another second of that Chinese water torture, and then I just went for it. I ripped off all that stuff that was on me, the gadgets, the rubber patches, the glue. Yeah, I lost a few strands of hair, but I didn't care. I got dressed quickly, stormed out of the room, and quietly made my way down the hallway past his office and down the stairs to the lobby. Just as I was about to exit the building, Nurse Ratched came running after me and yelled, "You forgot these!" and handed me my bra and panties. "You sure you want to leave?" "Yes, I am," I snapped back. "I could get a better sleep at Grand Central Station." I went home to the peace and quiet of my own apartment. I took an Ativan and I slept for 9 hours, and it was a really good sleep. Well, turns out, after all, the sleep disorder clinic was just what the doctor ordered.
What did you do?
Well, the other day I was so bored from all this sheltering, I had this strong impulse to get out of here. You know what I mean. So I decided to find a way to get to Europe, pinpointing France and specifically Paris. So I packed enough for 3 days. I got on a plane, it landed, I got a cab to the Bois de Boulogne, and I found a charming room at a bargain price. Hey, not too many people are traveling. And then I dressed and went down to dinner in the Hotel Jeu dining room, which has the most beautiful French windows and doors that open to a Parisian landscape. I ordered escargot and drank voluminous amounts of Sauvignon Blanc, and then after dinner, the waiter brought this gigantic tray of French pastries, and I chose a Napoleon and an eclair, and I washed them down with cognac. After, I asked the girl, "How far is it to the Champs-Élysées?" "Not too far," she said. So on my evening stroll, I met the perfect companion. And the next morning, we met at a charming cafe where we spent a leisurely few hours speaking in fractured French and crooning over the croissants and the French coffee, which you probably don't know is half milk and half coffee. But then, when I was about to confirm my return trip, I remembered, oh my God, France has lost over 10,000 people to the virus. So I had to cancel the trip. What to do? Ah yes, when all else fails, there is always a Madame Bovary. The film or the book? Well, maybe both, for much less money and far greater safety. And while the book is in and of itself an escape, she is all about escape. First, from a provincial upbringing, she marries a doctor and gains status. But that's not enough for her. She enters the world of affairs to escape from and to. So then, in the end, I read the book and watched the film. And during that time, I had 3 croissants and a gigantic thing of French press coffee. I had the perfect escape without endangering myself or others and remaining, yes, sheltered at home.